Okay, first and foremost, I want to start off with saying Shalom. Of course, I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, which is the name of the Most High, and Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I also want to apologize about the camera angle. This is the first time I've ever recorded in, straight. The reason why is my recorder, or I should say the platform that I have the phone on, right? I can't tilt the phone sideways or it'll fall off. I need a rubber band to hold it on or something like that. So, of course, I couldn't find one today, so the phone will be able to work this way, okay? So, I apologize in advance, okay? Oh, and I hope everyone likes my new shirt here. Um, by the way, if you want it, you can find it on an app called Wish, right? That's wish.com if you want to buy one for yourself. $20. Anyway, we're gonna jump right into it, man. All right, there's been a lot going on lately, man. Okay, say for an example, I want to talk about a recent controversy, and I hope I'm pronouncing the word correctly. This cat, calls himself good servant, right? Which I'm not gonna get on him a whole bunch because that's just a waste of time. But you know, um, he's been on there talking about I tried to bring him on the show to have a civilized, discussion, on the scriptures, right? So I tried to invite him onto the show so we could talk, right? So what happened was, I reached out to him and we talk a little bit, but anyway, what happened was a couple things came up in the chat that he got offended at. Matter of fact, that's going to be the first skip G I want to bring out real quick. Bear with me a moment. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and verse 6. And this is the words of Christ right here. It says, "And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me." Right, so good servant got offended in what the Bible said. Okay, so here it is. He's on there saying that I believe what the text says 100%, right? But here it is when we go into the text, he got a problem with it. He don't want to deal with the text. And why is that? Because certain subjects came up, such as when we talk about the servitude in the kingdom of heaven, which that's clearly in the scriptures. Okay, that's clearly in the scriptures, man. Okay, but they hear that and they'll get emotional, and will not even diligently search the subject and do their due diligence off of doing the research on the subject. Okay, that's just the way these guys work, man. Okay, that's the way it works. They just get emotional when certain topics of discussion come up, man. Okay, why? Because they're really offended at what the scriptures say, man. Okay, but guess what? Yahweh Shai came to be offensive. Okay, and that's in, what is that, Matthew the 10th chapter. Let's even get that real quick. Oh, look at that. I opened up right to it. Okay, Matthew chapter 10. Let me just see where I want to find. Oh, this is a good one real quick. Matthew 10 and 27. What I tell you in dark, that speak you in light. What you hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. Right, so that's why we go into certain controversial things. Why? Because that's in the scriptures. Okay? Okay, listen here. This is the words of Christ right here. Okay, good servant. Well, why don't you do a video about this, man? Okay, why don't you talk about this? This is the words of Christ right here. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I am not come to send peace but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against a mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Right. So the point of the matter is what? That Christ did not come to bring peace on earth, man. Okay, contrary to popular belief, right? What they're telling you in these phony baloney, churches, that's all bullshit, man. That's all a bunch of bullshit. Okay, why? Because the scriptures tell you, what is that? That's Acts the 7th chapter, right? In Acts the 17th chapter, it says what? The Lord does not dwell in temples that are built with hands. Right, that's not where the Lord dwells, man. All right, and it is in these temple buildings. All right, that's all going off. Okay, now with that being said, that doesn't mean, just like, say for an example, certain camps out there like the Sakari, right? And I know GMS had their own, building that they held their school in. Um, but yeah, that's fine if you want to teach in a school, right? In a building, that's fine. But as far as these guys saying, that, oh well, you have to, go to a church building, or you're doing something wrong. Nah, that's not true, man. Okay, you can do what you do in your own home, man, or you're out here where I'm at. Okay, that's perfectly fine to do. Okay, you don't have to go to a building in order to use it as a temple to the Lord, man. Because the scriptures say what? I brought up a precept, right? Acts the 7th chapter, right? The Lord doesn't dwell in temples that are built with hands. Okay, it's very simple, man. Okay, so as I said, man, these cats just get emotional and don't want to deal with the text. Okay, why? Because these are not real men. Let's go to bear with me a moment. Oh, this is a good verse, man. Okay, this can be, we can apply this to a lot of these cats, man. LUIC, right? Sakari, ISUPK, right? They're all leading their congregation, in the wrong direction, man, right? And a good servant, okay, Tony, okay. This can apply to all of them. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 14, or Slaki, is it? I believe it's, yeah, chapter 15 and verse 14, right? Matthew 15:14 says, "Let them alone. They be blind leaders that are blind. And if the blind lead the blind, they shall both fall into the ditch." Right, and that's what's going on, man. Okay, there's a whole lot of man worshiping going on, man. That's why when you go to the comment boards of a lot of these cats, everybody in there is just basically being a man worshiper. Okay, they're just taking down, everything at the person saying, and they're just going with that. Right? That's like, as I said, man, certain subjects come up of disagreement, right? Like I brought up a question about, well, when does a person become an adult, right? Which we'll get into that in a minute. But like when a good servant heard that, I was like, oh well, why even bring up such a perverted statement? I mean, what the hell? All I did was ask a simple question. And second of all, that's even in the scriptures. Second, or I should say third, the scriptures say, answer any question that a man asks you. And the scriptures also say, which I don't know the precept off the top of the head, but you can research it. The scriptures say what? Debate your calls. Good servant, you might want to look into that, man. The scriptures say what? Debate your calls with one that does not agree with you. That's what the scriptures say. Okay, so good servant, if you believe in the text 100%, man, well, you're looking pretty bad right now, bro. Okay, and I'm not trying to be mean towards you, not at all, man. It's cool, right? We don't have any beef. As I said, man, you're cool. You're cool. But it just seems pretty weird to me. Okay, it just seems pretty weird, right? We try to reach out to you, have a civilized discussion, and you don't want to do it. It's like, okay, well, cool, that's fine. But I mean, you're not gonna sit there and say, well, these guys are saying such weird and perverted, teachings of the Bible. It's like, okay, if that's the case, well, why don't we deal with the text, and we can go over it? Okay, if I'm wrong, which I could be wrong, but why don't we address it, and you can show me in the text where it says I might be. Okay, very simple. That's why I'll quote it again. The scriptures say what? Debate your calls. Okay, that's what the scriptures speak about, man. Okay, as far as dealing with, I wanted to deal with something else as well. Looks like it's gonna rain soon. Let me see. Let's go to, we bring this topic out a lot, but we got to go over it every once in a while. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 15th chapter, and let's start at the 17th verse. But first, let's go up a little bit, because the verse I'm going to bring out here, this is what certain guys like, Ridge Napper, or, the Christian church, they will use these verses in Matthew, the 15th chapter, to say you can eat whatever you want, right? You don't have to follow the dietary law of, what is that, Leviticus, the 11th chapter, right? They're saying, oh yeah, if you want to eat pork, right, you want to eat swine, that's fine. In fact, you can't have You can't have a Catholic get together without somebody bringing the pork, man. Everybody knows that. You can't have a get together after the church service without somebody bringing some pork. And that's not even a joke. That's not even a joke. I mean, dead serious. All right. And I've been to enough of them, in the past, right? Because I was raised as a Catholic and a Seventh-day Adventist, right? So I've been to them before. Okay. Anyway, let's start at Matthew chapter 15, verse 1. It says, "Then came Yahushai, or it's lucky, then came to Yahushai scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." Right, now I want you to remember that. Okay, that's the whole context of what this conversation is about. So before guys even use it and say, well, Christ said you can eat whatever you want, that's not true. Because the question, as I just proven, before he even made the statement, was about why do your disciples not wash their hands before they eat food? That was the Pharisees' question to Christ. Okay, now we jump down to Matthew the 15, verse 17. It says, we'll start at verse 16. "And Yahushua said, Are ye also yet without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goes into the belly, is cast out into the drought? But these things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceedeth evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, theft, false witnesses, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defiles not a man." Right, so to eat with unwashed hands does not defile a man. Okay, so it's not talking about eating, lobster, shrimp, right, rabbit, there's certain type of bird, which again, you can read all that in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, or read that yourself. Okay, but the point of the matter is it's not talking about that. Okay, it's not talking about that. Matter of fact, and good servant, I want to hear your thoughts on this, man. Okay, can we eat whatever we want today? Let's go to Isaiah. Bear with me a moment. Okay, Isaiah chapter 66. And let's start at we'll start at verse 15, but the point is in verse 17. Okay, but just to get the context of what it's talking about. Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." Listen here. "And they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, says the Lord." Right, so now we know, going according to the prophecy, right, which Isaiah 66 chapter was referring to when Christ returns, right? So he said what? Those who are eating the mouse and pig, they're going to be consumed, right? They're going to be put to death when the Lord returns, man. And I'm reading that out of the text. Okay, so what's that cat? You have that one dude, that one coon, calls himself G-Man, right? G-Man, which I know G-Man. We spoke before in this comment board. So I know who he is. He was on the modern day debates. Okay, look that up. But he said that you can eat a mouse sandwich if you want to. He said it's okay to eat a mouse sandwich if you want to. That's okay to do according to him. It's like, okay, G-Man, well, here's my challenge for your ass, man. Okay, what about the verse I just read? That hasn't happened yet. So if it is okay to eat those things, well, then why does the text say that when Yahushua returns, that those who eat those foods will be consumed together? Why does it say that then? And nobody knows. It's just, well, I suppose that's pretty weird. But it doesn't mean that. Now let's go on to another thing. Okay, that he was making a big fuss. Which again, I'm not attacking the brother, good servant. I just want to address a couple statements that he brought up just for clarification, so he can be edified. Okay, or anybody else for that matter. Okay, you can be edified and get your questions answered. So this is not at all attack at that brother, right? We love that brother, right? There's no beef between us. You're cool, man. You're cool. Um, but he brought up something about well, what about sex before marriage? Now you got to understand something, brother. You were brought up in this Western mindset, okay? But in the Bible, there's no such thing as sex before marriage. You know why? Because according to the Bible, the thing that makes a man and a woman married is sexual intercourse. Okay, this whole concept about you can't sleep. And I remember, man, when I was in the Pathfinders, right? Which you can look that up if you don't know what that is. But basically the so-called you know youth group of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, okay, or at least the one I went to, right? So I remember when when you're like 14, they have the talk with you about you know about sex and marriage and stuff, but they always make the statement. I always remember this, but they said, what, don't have sex until you're married. And it's like, well, where is that in the scriptures? Where is that in the scriptures? You can't show me that in the scriptures. Okay, matter of fact, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 24. Let's go to Genesis 24, and let's go to verse 67. Okay, look at this. It says, and Isaac brought her, right, Rebekah, into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death, right? Well, that proves what? That the thing that makes a man and a woman married is sexual intercourse. Okay, now, yeah, if you want to have a party, beforehand, that's cool. You can do that if you want, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have because back then they would have, they would have celebrations. I believe it lasts for maybe a week or so, depending on, the financial status of the family. Okay, they could have parties before the marriage. Okay, but you didn't have to do that though. Okay, you didn't have to, because the thing, as I just read in the text, the thing that makes a man and a woman married is sexual intercourse. Okay, it's very simple. And if that's not true, well, what about the text that was just presented? Okay, this whole thing about all you got to do is go a few hundred years back, man. Okay, and this is why we can so boldly proclaim what we so boldly proclaim. You know why? Because we actually look into the things that we talk about, right? We're not emotional. Okay, we actually diligently research the subjects that we come to debate or to teach. Okay, this whole belief about uh, this whole wedding ring thing, man getting down on a knee, to take a woman as his wife. That's an American custom. That's not. People weren't doing that 200 years ago, man. Okay, people were not doing that 200 years ago. That's a creation of America. Okay, that's why what they want you to go out and spend $10,000 on a wedding ring, and then another 50,000 on the wedding. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole plan, right? It's all a facade, right? Let's just like that coon from Sakari, right? Brother called himself Hassad. Now that brother's name should be Facade. Inside joke, right? Damn, D Kenner, that brother's damn D Coon. Inside joke. But yeah, I mean, it's very simple, man. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, very easy, right? It's easy peasy to understand these things, man. Okay, now as far as going over what we said about being an adult, he was saying, oh, well, that's like, why would somebody even ask a question? It's like, well, brother, did you know that that's in the text? Did you know the Bible actually talks about that? Because I thought you said you believe in the Bible 100%. It's like, okay, if that's the case, well, let's deal with what the text says. I don't think it's very difficult to understand. Okay, that's clearly in the text. Okay, and all just for the sake of time, I have other topics I want to get into and to discuss, but for the sake of time, I'll throw a few skip G's out there. Okay, go to Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, and start at the 7th verse on down. Okay, then that's going into the whole age of consent topic, which that's in the Bible. Okay, since you're sitting there and don't want to touch that subject, which is fine. If you want to do that, that's cool. But that is in the Bible, though. So I can tell you, It's like, okay, well, if you don't want to talk about that, well, you don't agree with the text, because that's in the text. It's very simple. Okay, hey, look here, man. Okay, good servant, you don't know a whole lot, man. Okay, you'll get your ass beat in a discussion, brother. Okay, if I was to keep it real with you. Okay, and I'm not mad at you, so don't cut this up and make it look like I'm mad. I'm not mad at you, man. I'm just telling you the facts. Okay, you don't know anything compared to me. Okay, and I don't mean to flex. I don't mean to flex. But it's like, come on, brother. You know, you see you see the flow that I'm going into, man. Okay, you see the amount of precepts that I'm pulling out in 20 minutes, man. Okay, so cut the nonsense out, man, and deal with the text. Okay, let's deal with what the Bible says, brother, not our opinions. I didn't ask for your opinion, right? Just like Tony, I didn't ask Tony for his opinion regarding the Lord making good and evil. The Bible says the Lord makes good and evil, man. It says that. I'll quote the verses again in case there's anyone new, man. All right, the Most High is behind the good and the evil in the world. Okay, Isaiah 45:7. I, the Lord, I create light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. Amos 3:6. If there is evil in the city, did the Lord not do it? 1 Samuel 2:6. I, the Lord, I kill and make alive. I wound and I heal. Okay, I mean, it's very simple. Okay, there's nothing, it's not difficult to understand, man. Okay, and as far as, Satan, okay, we went into it, right? Me and mine of God, right? Which, me and mine of God, we're not on the same page with everything, right? We disagree on certain things, but we basically were in a tag team, match with our brother Tony, which I like Tony. That brother's cool. He got some anger issues, but that brother's pretty cool. I'd like to bring him on the show again for a civilized discussion. As I said, Tony, hey brother, look, you're welcome on the show anytime, brother, as long as you can keep it civil with us. You're cool, right? We don't have any beef, man. Right? I don't hate you, man. And I never said I did. So you're cool, man. There's no beef. Same thing with good servant. I don't hate good servant. Good servant's cool. As I said, brother, if you don't want to have a discussion, that's cool, right? There's no beef. But hey, you're welcome on the show anytime, and we'll treat you nicely, brother. Okay, there's no beef. We're not at all on here trying to hate one another. Not at all. All right, it doesn't have to be that way. But we got to deal with the text. Okay, and a lot of you brothers don't want to deal with the text. Okay, but I will deal with it. You know why? Because I believe in what it says. And whatever the Most High says, we have to accept and believe it, man. No matter how controversial that might be. That's why I started the video with the one text, right? That, blessed is the man who is not offended in me. Okay, it's very simple to understand. It's not complex. Okay, let me see. Somebody asked me a question a few days ago. Let me just see if I can remember. Damn, somebody sent me an email. They asked me a very specific question, and I really wanted to get into it. Let me just grab a water real quick for my throat. Right. Let me see. Oh yeah, somebody asked me a question regarding the whole concept of the preterism, right? Which you can look that word up if you don't know what that is. But they asked me a question regarding preterism, right? Of course we teach what that the certain things in the scriptures that have not been fulfilled, but they teach what that all things have been fulfilled, right? Christ already returned in 70 A.D. And even what's that cat, right? William Bell, right? Pastor William Bell, which he did a fantastic debate with Sakari. Okay, look that up. Look up on YouTube. Sakari debates William Bell. Okay, and you can watch the discussion. Okay, it was a very great. I watched the video 5 times. Okay, it was such a great discussion. I'm gonna have to watch that again. Such a fantastic discussion, man, about preterism. Okay. Bear with me a moment. Anyway, those guys are on there talking about, well, Christ already returned. It's like, okay, how can you prove that? I mean, hell, William Bell, he's teaching that we're living in the kingdom right now. I mean, how the hell are we living in the kingdom, but you have homosexuality at such an alarming rate, man? Okay, um, I mean, hell, they say by, what is it? I believe 2050, that there'll be more plastic in the ocean than sea life. But we're living in the kingdom, though, right? I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, hell, you have what's that cat? Jeff Bezos, right? The founder of Amazon. I mean, hell, he just went to space, um, a few days ago. But yet, while they can do that, you got half of the world's population that doesn't even have running water in their dwelling places. All right, so it's crazy, man, crazy. But this is what we're dealing with. But we're in the kingdom, though. Hell out of here, man. You guys have some screws loose in the head, man. How are you talking about? Now the kingdom is coming now. Okay, we're in the time where the kingdom is coming now, but it has not came as of today. Okay, it has not come yet. It's going to come, but it has not yet. Okay, so any of you cats out there who are talking about the kingdom, as I said, man, it's unbelievable. But, hey, I invited a brother on, and we can have a civilized discussion on it, and it's cool. I'll keep it civil with him, right? I'm actually, to be honest with you, I am very intrigued in hearing some reasonings on why he believes that. One thing he brought up, which actually was a very good statement. He said that well, the proof at all this happened first is he went to Revelation, the 20th chapter. It speaks about what? Satan being loosed for a small season. Okay, and he used that to say that well, we'll see if we're in that time now. So see, that means that all the prophecies beforehand had to have happened in order to be at that point in time. Well, that's not true, because the scriptures jump, right? They jump to certain time periods. That's why, I'll give an example. That's why John, right? He described, right, Christ returning in let's say Revelation, the first chapter. But then a few chapters later, it's going over an event that would happen, such as World War I, and that's in Revelation, the 9th chapter. Okay, so it's not in order. Okay, so you can't really use that argument. As I will say, off the start, you would stump somebody who's reading it like a Christian, right? Reading it like a chapter book. But that's not how the scriptures have to be read. That's why when you go to Isaiah 28 and verse 10, it says precept has to be upon precept, here little and there little. Okay, that's how you understand what the text says. All right, it's very simple. Bear with me a moment. Damn, it's hot out here, man. Especially with this red shirt on, man. Anyway, let me see. Let's go to hey, which me and got mine again. We had a great dialogue, man. The other day we were going into certain of these subjects I'm discussing here, man. Okay, and as I said, man, when you go to certain of these cats pages, man, and go over to the comment boards and see what they're talking about, you can see, man, a lot of these cats don't know a whole lot, man. Okay, like, say for an example, man, you ask them about the whole thing that we're dealing with Satan, right? They say what? That Satan can do what he wants. That's not true, because if you go to what is that, Job, the 2nd chapter, it says what? That Satan had to go to the Most High to get permission in order to bring evil, right? So it's very simple to understand. And then when you go to I'll give an example, and a lot of guys don't do research on these subjects, but when you go to what is that, 1 Kings, the 22nd chapter, you know what, let's even get that real quick, because that's a great one. A lot of guys don't go here. Let's pull that up real quick. 1 First Kings, the 22nd chapter, and we'll start at the let's start at the 10th verse. Okay, the reason I'm bringing this out is I'm going to show you where the as Minor God will call them, right, the spirits on the left hand side, they have to go to the Most High in order to get permission in order to do evil. Okay, in order to do evil, you have to first go to the Most High to get permission to do things that are to do things which are wrong. And that's just the way it is. Okay, if you don't agree, then don't agree. That's cool. Okay, but you can't tell me that it's wrong if you're not going to deal with the text. It's very simple. It's very simple to understand. Which I have a hat, and I would I'd wear the hat, but sadly for me, scriptures say what? The scriptures say what? Any man that prays or prophesies with his head covered, he dishonors his head. Right. So we can't, we can't do that. Just like I'll give an example. The scriptures say that you can't wear mixed fabrics. Okay, you can't wear something that's mixed, right? Like a clothing. Okay, which sometimes we can't help that. Why? Because of since we're brought up here, right? There's certain things that we can't help. Okay, because our clothes, when they're manufactured, right, when they're created with what's the word I'm looking for? With different materials that are being put into it. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to what I was saying. 2 Kings chapter 10, or Slakia, 2 Kings chapter 22 and verse 10. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against, or Slakia, am I in the right? Or Slakia, it changed somehow. I wanted to get the 22nd chapter, somehow in the 24th chapter. Excuse me. Let's see, 22 and 19. Yeah, excuse me a moment. I don't know what happened. Just pull it up real quick. Okay, I got it. 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. It says, "And he said, Hear thou before the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left hand. And he said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he might go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord has spoken evil concerning thee." Right. So that cuts these clowns out here, man, that are out here teaching that the Lord doesn't do evil. You guys got cut, man, because I clearly shown in the text where the spirits on the left hand side, they had to go to the Lord to get permission in order to do evil. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, this is not hard to understand. Okay, and it's funny, man, because verses like that, when you bring it up, that will cut a Christian, man. All right, because the Christians never thought about that. No, and say for an example, when you go to what is that? I believe Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? Isaiah the 14th chapter, dealing with right, the king of Babylon, which Isaiah 14 was really referring to America. But when you read that, they like to say, well, it has to be talking about Lucifer because it says Lucifer. It's like, okay, but if you read the context, right, you got to get the context of what it's talking about. It says what? It says that that Lucifer is referring to the king of Babylon. Okay, matter of fact, the word Lucifer means the anointed one, right? Well, Christ himself said what? That I am the bright and the morning star, right? So Christ said that he's Lucifer, which Lucifer isn't necessarily a wicked term. Don't get that twisted. Okay, Lucifer just means enlightened. Okay, that's why he has something called Luciferians. Okay, the enlightened ones. Okay, it's very simple to understand. Um, but hey, man, going back to what I was talking about earlier, man. It's very clear right now. Now we're coming to the time when Yahushua is getting ready to return, man. That's why you have, UFO sightings at an all-time high, man. Okay, every day these chariots are being sighted, man. Okay, every single day these UFOs are making themselves known, man. I mean, I remember last year, man, I was